Today, on the first Sunday of Lent, we hear the gospel story how Jesus is tempted in the wilderness. He's led by the Spirit into the wilderness, and then the devil shows up and tempts him. We are not really told where exactly that wilderness was, but I always imagine it some kind of a desert. The sun beating down, no shade, very little water, hardly any vegetation. Definitely not a place anybody would want to be, and definitely not all alone for 40 days and 40 nights. But Jesus, right after he was baptized by John, right after he heard the words that he was God's beloved Son, he was led into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit. And so he had to spend 40 long days and 40 long nights in the wilderness and was tempted by the devil. Even though hardly any one of us has ever been in a desert for such a long time, I can imagine that we all have been in some kind of wilderness. Because the wilderness is also a symbolic place. Of course, it's an area in the Judean desert, but the wilderness also stands for all the moments when we were in a place, or we are in a place, that we definitely don't want to be in. When something happens that throws us off balance. It might be the loss of a job or the end of a relationship. It might be getting sick or losing a loved one. It might be the realization that we have to change our lives, maybe downsize and move, but we don't feel ready for it. It might be the loneliness of after having moved to a different city and we haven't made any friends and we feel pretty lost. It might be struggling with our own dark moments of anxiety or despair. We all have our personal moments of wilderness. And of course, the whole world has its moments of wilderness. The political and economic situations around us bring more questions than answers, and they point to a different kind of wilderness that we are struggling with. They can affect a city, a country, a society. We know it's pretty obvious. Hamilton struggles in some places and looks a bit like wilderness. All those moments can be scary. They can leave us lonely and hopeless. They can make us even question God's love and care for us. These wilderness experiences are challenging. Even without the devil showing up in person, they can tempt us to turn away from God, to rely purely on ourselves, to seize whatever power we can get, and to not trust God and His guidance for us. But at the same time, wilderness moments can be opportunity for renewal, for drawing us closer to God, and even deepen our faith. Most of us remember Psalm 23, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me." That's how King David, the author of the psalm, experienced it. That's how the Israelites experienced God when He led them through the desert for 40 years. We remember the Israelites had to go through a very long journey through the wilderness after Moses had freed them from the slavery in Egypt. They wandered for 40 years until they finally reached the promised land. But God cared for them, gave them the manna, and made sure they found water. God never deserted His people. God never stopped walking with them. He led the Israelites out of the wilderness. He led David out of the valley of the shadows of death, and He finally led Jesus out of the wilderness. God didn't give up on them, and God doesn't give up on us. Jesus made it through the time in the wilderness by relying on God and his word that came to him through the scriptures. So when Jesus was tempted with food, Jesus says, "One does not live by bread alone." Then the devil offers him to give him power over all the kingdoms of the world. And Jesus said, "Worship the Lord your God and serve him only." And finally, the devil tempts him to prove who he is by throwing himself from a high tower. But Jesus refuses and says, we should not try God. Jesus left the wilderness. He came out stronger. He was then ready to begin his ministry. And we heard it in the gospel lesson a few weeks ago. Jesus, immediately after being tempted in the desert, he goes to Nazareth, goes to the synagogue, and preaches. And in that first sermon, he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me. He has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Jesus' wilderness experience was about clarifying who he was and what God wanted him to do. And that can be true for us too. Wilderness experiences can change us in a positive way. They can leave us with our faith and trust in God deepened, with our perspective on life changed, with our priorities rearranged. So this is the first Sunday of Lent, and the next 6 weeks can turn into a wilderness time for us that we enter on purpose. We are encouraged to be intentional over those next 40 days. Take time to step out of our ordinary routines and reflect on our relationship with God. And we are not alone in this time. The Holy Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness, but he didn't just drop him off there. He stayed with him all those days. So let us be ready to be changed during this time of wilderness, be it a Lenten journey or be it a personal challenging wilderness, so that we gain a renewed sense of purpose and call, ready to proclaim the good news of God through our words and deeds, not reigned by worries and fear, but ready to help others in their times of wildernesses. Let us do that with the help of God.
Our God is
Amen.
alive.